morning, everyone. I know it's been a while. We haven't had much going on. It has been a couple months since we finished building the hoop house, and I wanted to give you an update as to what's going on with the hoop house. So let me show you what's in here. So when we finished building the hoop house, it was getting very late for me to get tomatoes in the ground, but I did manage to get them in here. And there was 70 something plants, I think. I don't remember. We have lost some. Just they didn't take off. They didn't grow very well. But a couple of things about the tomatoes in here. The plants look fabulous compared to what I normally grow. So let me show you here. So this plant, for example, it's nice and green, it's alive, there's no dead branches. But over here, let's see, I think there's one over here. The rain does come in through these roll-up curtains. So these tomatoes over here on the edges, they're getting rained on, and they have the same dying branches and leaves as I get in the garden. So as you can see, that one is dying, and there's a couple down there. That one's not doing too well. That one's dying. So all along the edges here, the tomatoes are basically doing the same thing that they do when I grow them outside of the hoop house, which is, you know, I don't know if it's blight or what it is, but the branches just start dying, the leaves turn crispy, and that's that. The rest of the plants that are in the middle, they're nice and green, and they've got a bunch of tomatoes on them. These 3 tomatoes here are laying on the ground because my wire, we put cable up along the top to tie strings to hold up the tomatoes, and this wire came down the other day when I was in here weeding and hanging up tomato plants. So we still need to fix that. But for the past month or more, it has been over 100 degrees every single day, or at least the weather says that it feels like it's like 103, 110, 105. It's been raining every single day. So we have not, or I have not spent much time outside for the past month. It's just so hot. I just can't handle it. So the only problem I have with tomatoes now, being in the hoop house, they, like I said, they look great. They're nice and green. They're doing great, but we still have one more problem that we need to solve, and I know how to solve it. I just forget to do it. But let me show you. Let's see. These plants look really good. So here, if you look at this plant, you can see that the leaves are all eaten. And tomatoes down here, let's see, here's one right here. Tomatoes are rotting. And I believe that's because they're getting eaten. I think they rot when the worms get in there and eat them. We had a couple of tomato hornworms. I did find those and get rid of them, but we have what you call army worms. And they are eating the tomatoes, they're eating the plants. I did spray with BT, and I had Ocean helping me, and we had gotten most of this sprayed, but then when he was pumping up the sprayer, it burst. So the last row of tomatoes didn't get sprayed. Well, yesterday, I think it was yesterday. It was either yesterday or the day before. We came up, we re-weeded, and we re-sprayed everything. Now the plan is to spray them with BT every week, every Sunday, hopefully. And hopefully that will keep the worms off the plants so that I can get some tomatoes, because we're just about out of spaghetti sauce. So So that's the hoop house. I'm hoping next year that I can plant, since the tomatoes don't do well on the outside edges, I'm hoping next year to plant the tomatoes in the middle and possibly plant something along the outside edges. But let me show you what's going on with the rest of the garden. Due to the heat and the rain, the garden is not doing well this year at all. So here's the cucumbers. Normally I am overloaded with cucumbers. This year I've gotten 3. And as you can see, they're turning yellow and dying. Now, I don't know if that is from heat or water, but yeah, so I'm not gonna be making any pickles this year, but thankfully I have a couple years worth of pickles already put up, so that's okay. It's a little disappointing that we don't have any fresh cucumbers for eating, but I may try to replant some. This is what, almost the end of July, and so I think I have enough time. I can plant some more. It's been in the 90s the last few days, so maybe it's cooling off to where something can grow. All right, so in the raised beds, this bed is totally full of green beans. Tons of green bean plants. But guess what? I haven't gotten any green beans either. From what I was reading, it's just been too hot, and so we've had blossom drop on the green beans. So that's a problem, because we are just about out of green beans also. And if I don't get any green beans, we'll either not be eating green beans this year, or I'm gonna have to purchase them from the grocery store, which I do not want to do. So I did start some new green bean seeds in the hoop house because it has a shade cloth on it, and I'm hoping that they might do a little bit better in there. But yeah, for these green beans, I mean, you can see some bugs have been eating on the leaves because there's no way to spray anything out here because it rains literally every single day. But I think what I'm gonna do is just rip all these plants out and then replant. I could wait and see if they put on new blossoms, but I'm not sure if they'll do as well because they're an older plant now. So I think I would rather just rip them out and restart. I think I have plenty of time. Our first frost isn't until the middle of November, so we still have 4 months before our first frost. And I think that's plenty of time to get some green beans. At least I'm hoping so. I did get a very small harvest off of these beans, like just enough for one meal. And that was it. Then they just stopped producing. And like I said, I'm pretty sure it's just because it's been so hot that it was too hot for them to produce. So the rest of the garden, watermelons are doing fabulous. They're taking over the rows. They get plenty of water because it rains every single day. It already rained this morning. Sweet potatoes are looking great. They're taking over this whole end of the garden. Pepper plants, they're still alive. I have no idea what these peppers are because I thought I only grew bell type peppers, but this whole row of peppers are the same thing. So not sure what those are. We've got a couple of big watermelons in here. There's one and there's one. I never can figure out how to pick them when they're ripe though. This is crookneck squash, and even the crookneck squash did not produce this year at all. I got 3, count them, 3 crookneck squash off of there. 2 were little babies and 1 had gotten bigger, and that's it. There are no flowers even on these plants. So again, I'm thinking it's from the heat. The plants, the stems look really good. You can see the stem down in there, but there are no flowers, not one. So thankfully, I was only growing the crooknecks for the neighbors, And we're not wild about crookneck squash. I was just doing it for the neighbors because they like it. So I'm just gonna pull those out and maybe put some carrots there. I think there's enough time to plant carrots. I do have some carrots growing over there, which I'm gonna pull out. They're pretty decent size. They're not really big like you get at the grocery store or anything. But here's a tomato. This is a cherry tomato plant. It's still doing well, I'm surprised. But again, it's outside, so it's got this dying brown. I'm guessing it's blight. I don't know. So these are the carrots. I did pull out a few the other day just to thin them out a little bit. And let me just grab one, anyone. So they're not very big. That's probably 5 inches long. But they've been in the ground for quite a while. So I think I'm just gonna pull them all out and start again. So, as you can see, the garden did not do well this year. Hopefully we do better next year. Hopefully I can get some more things planted now for the fall. I kind of worry that it's too early still to replant, but at the same time I don't want to wait too long and then have it too late to be replanting. So I think I'm just going to put some in, like the beans. Maybe I'll put in 1 row and then wait 2 weeks and then put in another row. I'm not sure when it's too late to replant anything, so I don't know. But that's the garden. I did have a couple of people ask about the barndominium and how it was doing, and I'd like to show you that. The way we're doing this, I know, is not for everybody, but it works for us. So we did get the last wall put on, so it is all dried in. I did put a metal roof on it. It has a black roof, black trim, and I'd like to let you know that summertime is not the best time to put metal on the roof, especially if it's black. So I got up there and I put all that roofing on. Eddie and Ocean were down on the ground handing up the metal to me, and by the time I finished putting the metal on, I was so hot. And I was drinking water while I was up there. I probably drank a couple gallons of water. But when I got down, I was so hot that I laid down on the floor and I passed out. And I think that was one reason why I stopped going outside in the day when it was really hot, because I was really sick after that. And it took me a couple of days to recoup, and it wasn't fun. So, you know, like I said, it's been over 100 degrees for over a month. And so I've been staying inside, not really doing anything, just taking some time off, I guess. We did take Mikey to some places. We took him to a water park and an adventure land park, and we did have a little bit of fun. But other than that, we really haven't been doing anything. I want to show you inside the house, and I know this isn't for everybody, but keep in mind that we live on a fixed income and there is no way for us to finish this house all at once to be able to move into it. So let's go inside. So we have, put those carrots down. We brought in the table that I made for the outdoor kitchen. That's why there's this cutout here, because it was built for the outdoor kitchen. We brought in the counter that I made for the outdoor kitchen. We brought in the stove. And so this area here is the kitchen, if you haven't guessed. We picked this refrigerator up from someplace on Facebook Marketplace, I believe. And we have a kitchen sink. Now this sink, it's not permanent. This sink Ocean had brought me, and I was gonna use it for the garden, just to wash my hands, wash off carrots, stuff like that, before I brought them down to the house. And I was like, well, we have this sink, let's put it in the house so that we have sink. I did plumb hot and cold water to the house, so it does go to the sink. But yeah, and I like being able to live in here now before it's finished, because I'm finding little things that I thought I wanted that maybe I don't want. Like the kitchen, I have the stove here and the sink's over there. Yesterday when I was cooking, I was thinking the stove is too far from the sink. So that might get changed. But being in here and being able to use it gives me a feeling of different things that I might want instead of what I had thought I wanted. I'm not one that can sit down and design my house and be like, this is exactly where I want everything, build it that way, and then be happy with it. I have to be able to use it and find out how functional it really is. So this way I can make changes before anything is permanent. So anyways, that's the kitchen. So like I was saying, the refrigerator, originally I thought I wanted the refrigerator right there, and then it was going to be the stove, a long counter, and then the sink. But I kind of like the refrigerator over there. That's not the one that I want permanently in here. We have already picked one out. But I like the refrigerator there next to the sink, but I need room for a dishwasher. So not sure if that's going to work or not. The stove, I think I want it down here a little bit more and just have more counter space on this side of the stove, because I would like the stove a little bit closer to the sink. I was going to, here's the living room. We just brought in the love seat from the outdoor kitchen, and we borrowed this chair because we didn't have any furniture. And I was going to leave this open, totally open from the kitchen to the living room. But now what I'm thinking is I want a counter going behind here, so between the kitchen and the living room. That gives me more counter space, but it sort of does a divide between the kitchen and the living room. But I don't want a wall, so I'm pretty sure I'm going to put a counter right in there. So the walls are all insulated. They're covered with house wrap, and I will talk about that in just a minute. We brought in the TV and just put it on a table. So this is the size of the living room, and that is where the TV will go, because there will be a wall right here that's going to be hanging on. Behind the TV is my office, which is very small. And if you're wondering why there's blankets on all the windows, that is because all the heat is beating down in here and making it extremely hot, because the ceiling is not insulated yet. We're going to do blow-in insulation in the ceiling, but in order to do that, we have to put up a bunch of 2x4s first, and then we'll be able to get up there and do the blow-in insulation. So we've got the kitchen, we've got the living room, we've got my office. On the other side of my office will be Mikey's bathroom right here, and straight across from his bathroom will be my bathroom. Right here next to my bathroom is going to be the pantry, which will have lots of shelves all the way up to the ceiling, I hope, that will have all my jars on it. Right now, all of my jars are in the walk-in cooler, staying nice and cool, but I would like them in the house where it's a lot easier to get to them. So the only thing left is the bedrooms. Now, as you can see into Michael's bedroom, because I had this plastic up around my seedlings. I had my seedlings in here before we planted them, and I had this plastic up put around the seedlings, and I just put it up there to sort of separate Mikey's room. I'm going to change it to black so he has some privacy. And there's black plastic across here for my bedroom. And there's a very important reason why this plastic is up. So here is my bedroom. It's dark, all the windows are covered. But we purchased this AC unit. It's supposed to cool 550 square feet, which the house is 1,280. So with the plastic up along here, and then it's open between us and Mikey right here, and then the plastic goes across there. So that AC unit will blow straight down here into Mikey's room, and it cools this part of the house very nicely. So this part of the house on this side of the plastic is nice and cool. It's probably about 72 degrees. At night, the AC does actually shut off. So it's nice and cool for sleeping. And then this side of the house, on the outside of the plastic, we have a small AC unit right there, which blows right into my chair, which feels great. And it does keep this side of the house livable. It's not super cold or anything, but it's comfortable. So that was the main reason for the plastic, to separate that and keep cold air over there. And I think that's about it. So the walls, I don't want sheetrock on my walls for a few reasons. Number one, I have tried to put up sheetrock and mud the seams and all that, and I'm no good at it. You can always see the seam after I've mudded it and sanded it. You can still see the seam. You can see where I mudded it. So I don't want that for my house. I don't want to be able to see those seams. So I don't want sheetrock. The other reason I don't want sheetrock is I'm terrible at picking colors, and I don't want to have to figure out what color I want to paint my walls. I don't mind painting, but I hate picking the colors. And I know a lot of people say, well, just do the whole thing white. But white shows dirt. This is a ranch, and everybody's got dirty hands all the time. Excuse me. So I don't want white, and I don't want sheetrock. So the plan for the walls was for us to mill our own lumber that we can put on the walls, just like we did for the outdoor kitchen and our other bedroom. But it's gonna take years to, number one, we gotta mill it all up. And number two, you gotta let it sit and dry for a year. We have used it green and just put it up, but the problem with that is it shrinks. It gets narrower, so then you have spaces between your boards. And that's no big deal in the other buildings because we knew they weren't permanent, but for in here, I don't want those gaps between the boards. So we're gonna need to let the boards sit for a year to dry. We haven't even started the mill. We still need to pour a slab and move the mill and do all kinds of things to even get started on that. So our plan is to cover the walls and the ceiling with OSB. That will enclose the inside. It will give us walls where we can hang things up. And then when we do have the wood ready to go up, we can just take the things off the wall, put the wood up, and put the stuff back up. So that's the plan. We're just gonna put, I think 5/8 plywood, not plywood, plywood's expensive. We're gonna put 5/8 OSB on the ceiling and on the walls, and then the entire interior is going to be wood. So that's the plan. Now, whether or not that gets done in my lifetime, who knows? But we will get the OSB up in my lifetime, I hope. I don't know why I have a frog in my throat this morning. I think that's about it. We're gonna do some spray insulation under the house for the floor, but that's gonna be a while. Right now, we really don't have the money to work on anything. I know you guys see a lot of YouTube channels with people building their own houses and stuff, and the thing is that they have money in the bank. They've sold a house and they have money, or they get a loan, but they have money to do it all, and we don't. That was the purpose of this YouTube channel, was that I wanted to show that you can do this without having a bunch of money in the bank. We live on Social Security, which is not much. And so we do have one credit card, which we used to put the roof on, and now we're gonna work on paying that off before we move on, you know? So we have an income once a month, and whatever we can get for that month is what we do. And if we can't afford anything that month, then we don't do anything. And that's why this house is taking us so long to build. And that's okay with us because it will be all paid off. We don't owe any money for anything except for our credit card, which doesn't have a huge limit. So this will be totally paid off and ours when it's done. I mean, even now, nobody could take this from us. And anybody out there that doesn't make a ton of money, but they want to build their own house, it is possible, because we're proof of that. We are doing it. So anyways, that's what's going on with us. I did make a blueberry coffee cake this morning. I just took it out of the oven a little bit ago. We found that right around the corner there's a You Pick blueberry place. So we've been going down there and getting gallons of blueberries. It's $10 for a gallon, so that's a great deal. My blueberries, they're just not growing. They're stuck at about 3 feet tall and they're not getting any taller. I think I need to move them into the full sun. I think they get too much shade where they're at, but so yeah, that's where we're at. If you guys have any questions, just put them down in the comments and I will do my best to answer them. I'm not sure what our next project is going to be right now. Just gonna replant some stuff in the garden and figure out which lumber to buy for the house next. I think what we want to do is buy the 2x4s for the ceiling and get it insulated for this winter. Not sure what we're going to do for heat in here this winter other than baking a lot of bread so that the oven will heat the place up. But we have a couple of months before we have to worry about winter time. So we do want to get the ceiling insulated before then. And yeah, go from there. So next time we have something going on, I will bring you guys along for it. But let me know if you have any questions at all about the house and I will do my best to answer them.